everyone, I'm Shannon Slatton. Here's a look at today's top stories.
Bracing through chilly temperatures and sometimes standing for hours, the Salvation Army's bell ringers have been a staple holiday tradition. But with COVID-19 raging and less foot traffic, red kettle donations are down.
The need is great in our communities, and even though COVID is going on right now, we're still out in the communities trying to do our Red Kettle fundraising campaign.
This year, the nonprofit is pushing for virtual donations, especially for those concerned of touching surfaces or cash.
We've also equipped our kettles with Google and Apple Pay, which is new this year. So every one of our kettles is fitted with the technology that anybody can use their phones to make a donation, or they can also use their cameras on their phones to scan a QR code to make a donation.
There's a goal to raise $350,000 in Brooklyn Park. So far, the campaign has raised about 20% of that goal. Still a long ways to go. Polanco says they're in critical need of volunteers.
And it's actually a great and safe way to really make an impact this holiday season.
And as we give thanks during the holidays, red kettles are reminders not to forget about those struggling this season.
The donations that you're making is really going to a good cause. It's really helping sustain families that are really going through a very difficult time right now.
In Brooklyn Park, Pafu Yang, CCX News.
We have cassava leaf, potato greens, collard greens, jollof rice, and tilapia fish.
JAMBO Africa has been part of the Brooklyn Center community for about 10 years.
And this place turned into a real entertainment place on the weekends.
The restaurant serves up delicacies from East and West Africa.
We're just going to add up our onions, tomatoes, and then we put in a different season.
However, COVID-19 dished out a situation that's hotter than the spices in this chicken curry.
We were scared.
Owner SIMONE CHAMBLISS says the business took a hit in the spring during the governor's executive order to close indoor dining.
The bills doesn't stop. If you're just opening your doors just for takeout, and you have to have all the lights on, all the utilities.
She says this latest round of restrictions are like adding salt to an old wound.
To be frank with you, if I didn't own this, my first choice would be, this is the time for me to get out.
CHAMBLISS says deliveries are challenging and costly.
We're trying to do our own online. We need more staff to do the delivery for ourselves, because most of the time those other delivery companies take a big chunk of what we make. Then I can just add my chicken to it.
The Liberian business owner received a life raft after getting a $10,000 grant from Hennepin County in the spring.
I was able to pay the mortgage and pay some other bills.
And she plans on applying for a new round of grants that just opened up.
We know that as we look to the winter, this is going to be a more difficult time for what has already been a difficult time.
Businesses who have already received funding in the past are still eligible to get funding. The only restriction is that companies can't use the money to pay for the same thing twice.
If you received money from Hennepin County before, you're eligible for up to $10,000, and if this is the first time you've applied, you're eligible for up to $15,000.
Let me add a little bit pepper to it.
Meanwhile, CHAMBLISS says despite the challenges, she's optimistic about the future.
By the grace of God, we know that we're going to make it. We can survive this because we're all in it together.
In Brooklyn Center, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
As we approach the holiday season, Rachel Scarpinato of Maple Grove is getting close to a significant milestone of her own.
I am past my due date, so they are trying to figure out if little man is just hanging out and relaxing, or if, we need to intervene and get him out.
This will be Scarpinato's first child, and the medical staff at Clinic SOFIA in Maple Grove helped her through the entire pregnancy.
being in the middle of a pandemic, not knowing what this is, has been a little scarier, I would say.
Despite the heightened concern and added stress brought upon by COVID, Clinic SOFIA staff members say the pandemic hasn't stopped people from conceiving.
We did see in March and April, we actually did have an uptick in the number of new pregnancy visits during those 2 months. There was about 20% increase from what we normally see during those 2 months this year. Now, going forward after those months, it seemed to have leveled back off to our normal.
In fact, Dr. David Clay and some of his Clinic SOFIA colleagues have contributed to the mini baby boom, with several having delivered all in the last few months. The boom, however, didn't last long.
As the pandemic continued onward, and probably for financial reasons and just for family planning reasons, it was, maybe not, and then we saw it kind of drop back to normal.
For the women who are planning to give birth in this COVID era, Dr. Clay urges everyone to follow the safety protocols put forth by the CDC.
Certainly, for the most part, most women who get pregnant are otherwise young and healthy, so hopefully their bodies will do fine with them being pregnant. But pregnancy itself is an immunosuppressive condition to some degree, so those patients do have to be cautious.
He says there are still many unknowns about how COVID might affect a fetus, which brings us back to Scarpinato, who's been keeping up with her appointments under less than ideal circumstances.
You can't have anybody come with you to these appointments. So, you're coming in to see, is the baby growing properly? Are there any issues? And you have to do that all by yourself, which that's not fun.
Fortunately for her, the end of the road is close.
Hopefully in the next week or so, I think probably is when he'll be here.
In Maple Grove, Delaney Cleveland, CCX News.
It's time again for a look at our annual CCX all-area teams in soccer. Mathis with a shot and goal.
There you go.
Our 2020 girls soccer team is led by Champlin Park senior forward number 4, Melee Mathis. The first team all-state forward netted 22 goals and 8 assists and recorded a point in every match for the Section 5 AA champion Rebels.
From Mathis gets free, a shot away and a goal.
Mathis will play college soccer at Minnesota State Mankato. Number 14, Wayzata forward Abby Brantner was a first-team All-State and second-team All-Metro selection this fall.
And Brantner does it again.
Senior led the Trojans in goals with 12 and points with 15. The 3-year varsity player will play next year at St. Thomas. Despite missing some games this fall because of injury, number 10, Emma Fournier of Maple Grove was an All-State player for a second straight year. A dynamic player who can change a game, she finishes her Crimson career 4th in team history in scoring. She'll join Wayzata's Abby Brantner at St. Thomas next season. Emma's teammate, number 21, Kelly Klons, also makes our team. Klons was first team all-conference and finished second on the Crimson in scoring.
Drive the rebound, they score.
A great player in the clutch. She scored 5 career game-winning goals in the postseason and finishes 8th in career scoring at Maple Grove. Number 21, Sydney Johnson of Maranatha Christian Academy West Lutheran played a big role in an outstanding season for the Mustangs. The first-team All-State forward scored 17 goals to go along with 5 assists as MCAWL finished the year with an 11-2-1 record. Our midfielders include Champlin Park senior number 17, Megan Carlson. Carlson controlled the midfield for the section champion Rebels. She was named second-team All-Metro and All-State and scored 11 goals and 11 assists this fall. Carlson is headed to Bemidji State next year. Number 10, Josie Fieldman of Hopkins was an All-Lake Conference pick this fall. A solid midfielder for the Royals, Fieldman was also named first-team All-State in 2020.
Stopped cold there by Fieldman.
Number 3, Allie Boss of Benilde St. Margaret's was part of a section champion team this fall. First-team All-State and second-team All-Metro pick Boss was excellent at controlling the midfield and was a Miss Soccer finalist in Class A. Wayzata's number 13, Dana Brewer, was an All-Conference and second-team All-State midfielder and forward. Brewer was second on the Trojans in points and the team leader in assists. She was a captain and a 3-year varsity letter winner. Number 5, Paige Kalla of Champlin Park was another great offensive weapon for the Rebels. Kalla scored 14 goals while adding 19 assists this fall to lead the Rebels in points. She led all Class AA players in assists and was named second-team All-State.
Loose and shot in the chin.
Maple Grove's number 17, Kylie Baronic, was a versatile player who played multiple positions for the Crimson. A two-time all-conference player, the senior netted 6 points in the final 3.5 matches after moving to forward. Number 4, Bella Grandboy of Cooper capped off a 4-year career with 2 all-conference honors and a team MVP award.
There's a shot to tie it.
Tough player to defend 1v1. Grandboy often drew double teams from opponents. She'll play next year at North Dakota State University. Benilde St. Margaret's number 11, Sydney Dries, was first-team All-Conference and first-team All-State this fall. Dries tied for the team lead in goals with 9 while adding 10 assists. She was named the Red Knights' most valuable player. Whitesetta's number 12, Brianna Monahan, helped anchor a steady defense for the Trojans this fall. Monahan was named All-Lake Conference and also the team's Defensive Player of the Year. Maple Grove senior number 3, Hannah Zahn, was a key player for the Section 8 AA champion Crimson.
And Zahn scores.
A natural midfielder who spent most of the season at center back. She played on 4 section-winning teams at Maple Grove, and this season was named second-team All-Metro. Our goalie is Osseo's number 0, Anna Corona. A bright spot for the Orioles, she helped keep her team in several matches. It was Osseo's lone All-Northwest Suburban Conference player this fall.
What a save.
And there it is, the 2020 CCX All-Area Girls Soccer Team.
Fender does. Mathis shot away and scores.
John Jacobson, CCX Sports.